don't know how to bring it up on YouTube. Are you subbed to my channel?
I have a link right here. I'll drop it in the private.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Oop. There we go. And then let me, oops. Okay, I got it. There we go. So, welcome to the inaugural voyage of the Overnight with Dan Foss. This is just kind of a test for me to see how live streaming works. I've sat in on live streams, and you get a little different perspective just sitting in on live streams. So I wanted to learn more, and I thought I would do a live stream. That way I can see the aspect from the person doing the chat itself. And this might be the only one I ever do. And we're just going to talk about whatever we talk about. No real set topics. You know, it doesn't have to be gun related or anything like that. Just to kind of have some fun and learn a little bit about how this works. But joining me from a secure location in the wilds of Washington State is Mr. Burt Reynolds. How are you doing tonight, Mr. Reynolds?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for the invite.
No problem. And I did this in the middle of the night to make sure I wasn't quirking anybody. And so nobody may ever see this, which is fine. So what is our current state of the 2A in the U.S.? What do you think?
Complicated. Very complicated. I mean, it is, I don't know about you, it's very hard to figure out what is actually a current threat and what is just bullshit fear mongering. Because I don't know. It's I'm somewhere in between Yankee and Mr. Guns and Gear on this, you know?
I can see that. Yeah, that, you know, with the bills or anything that's proposed, it's hard to know which ones to be afraid of.
And which ones have support.
Yeah, like the newest one with Sheila Jackson Lee. I don't think there's support, and it doesn't sound like there's support. But if you don't, you know, if you're not watching all the bills or have seen it, because I guess it's come up, you know, basically every year since she's been there. But if this is the first time you're seeing it, it can be a shock that somebody's trying to do this. But there's a lot of impediments to that bill. The biggest one being it's absolutely unconstitutional.
Yeah.
The HB 127, can't remember the bill, but basically it sets up a registry, and that is unconstitutional. You cannot set up a gun registry.
By the way, we both live in Washington State.
Yes, it's a beautiful but a little bit lefty state.
Yeah. So the federal registry is what's unconstitutional, right? But
yes.
They can do state.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I'm just like, we currently have a handgun registry and assault weapon.
No, there is no registry. We don't have a registry, but there's more loops you have to jump through for what they call an assault rifle. Any semi-automatic rifle. That's from a 22 up to 450 Bushmaster, anything like AR type, or even my Marlin 60 when I bought that.
Yeah, even a tube fed.
Yep, it was considered an automatic rifle because it's semi-automatic. There's not a registry, but there's basically like an enhanced background check and an additional 10-day wait on top of however long your background checks take. For Washington State, it's I think a minimum 3-day wait, and then up to 10 days. And then after 10 days, if the background check doesn't come in, they can, the gun shop can release the gun. Not everyone will. And it's like Cabela's. The last gun I tried to buy from them a while back, the background check didn't come back and they wouldn't release it. And then after 30 days, you have to redo the background check. Well, the background check didn't come. I called the police department, talked to them, and they said, yeah, we processed all that paperwork. So the paperwork got lost somewhere, but they wouldn't touch it. So I told them, you can keep your pistol and shove your paperwork. And went to the small gun shop that I had been dealing with, and that's the only one that I go to now, because they have really good prices. And once your background check times out at 10 days, they release your pistol, like the law says they can.
Yeah, I had them do that to me on a Ruger Blackhawk, and I'm like, I've been waiting 2 weeks for a single action revolver. This is this is completely ridiculous. What do you think I'm going to do with this thing?
Yeah, for some shops, they're afraid of liability, but they're covered by the law.
Yep.
So if you support the small guys, because once they disappear,
yeah, I always go to small gun shops when I have the choice.
Yeah, you might get a better price on stuff, at a large shop like Cabela's and whatnot. But if some of these bills were passed, like the talk about killing online gun sales and stuff like that, then, if nobody's shopping at the small shops, those disappear. Then all you're left with are the big shops. And if you can't order stuff online, then, it hurts. What are you going to get? Where are you going to get it?
Yeah, and if they pull a Sportsman's Warehouse and they just screw you over, then we got nowhere to go.
And, not every small gun shop is good. I had a friend that bought a Ruger PC charger and had it sent to a shop. The guy that, he kind of knows, the owner, and told them, do not open it. We'll open it when it comes in and I get there. They opened it and there's a piece missing. There's a small adapter that allows you to use Glock mags. And that is a part that gets stolen a lot. That's why he had told them, do not open it. And they told him, well, it was open when we received it. Which, when it gets shipped from Ruger, they have a camera that looks at the station that boxes the PC charger because of this. And he talked to them and they said, they explained to him, they have basically a security camera that watches. Everything gets boxed up and taped up when it's sent out. And he was so frustrated, he basically wanted his stuff and then just said, he's not going to deal with him anymore. I would have been a little more upset and caused more trouble, but, he just wanted his charger and be done with it. And I think when he contacted Ruger, they sent him a replacement part for free. which was really cool of them to do.
Yeah, I've only got mad at a gun shop once, and it worked. Like, I bought a foreign-made 1911 that the sear was broken. So when you rack the slide, the hammer would drop and it would fire the entire magazine.
Whoops.
And luckily, I had it at the range the first time I loaded it, and it dumped the mag. And I took it back to the shop. And I was like, I want a refund. And they said, oh, we're not allowed to take guns back. We only sell new guns. And I just didn't leave. I kept talking to the guy above the next guy. And I finally got cash and left the store. So getting mad works sometimes. And that was at a bigger gun store. I won't say who it is, but I might have mentioned them earlier in the show.
Yeah, that's why, like I was talking about the small gun shop.
Yeah.
You can build a relationship with them, and that when I don't go in a lot, but when I go in, they know my name. Justin will see me and he says hi and calls me by name. He knows the kind of stuff that I like and will point out different things. And you're not going to get that at a big store.
Yeah, they'll even call you. Be like, hey, I just had something come in. I thought you'd be interested. And then you can find some really cool shit that way. Because the little gun shops get the coolest stuff on trade-ins in these little towns. Somebody passes away and somebody just takes the guns to the local store down the road. They got no idea what they got. And then you're buying an M1 Garand for $350.
Yeah, they're used guns. Sometimes they'll have ones that look like they were fished out of a river.
Yep.
And I found out why, because one day I went in and before I left, he goes, "Hey, we got a new batch of evidence guns in." So they're old evidence guns from the police. That's why they probably were fished out of a river.
So that's a good. What's the worst gun you ever bought?
Worst one?
Yep. I already talked about mine, and it was brand new.
Well, I wouldn't say anything. I had anything horrible. Like my PK380 is really ammo sensitive. It likes round nose blazer brass, but I'll still get it won't always go back in battery. And I knew that some of them run fine, and then ones that don't have the problems that I'm having. But it's still useful when I take new shooters. It's a soft enough shooting gun where it's not too scary or doesn't break their wrist. And then the other one would be the Witness, the 10 millimeter Witness, which was a great gun until the recoil spring broke. And they had a crappy double recoil spring setup where it's basically just a loose spring inside of a bigger spring. And it took forever because of all the garbage going on to get a replacement. And I think they forgot because it had been so long. And I contacted them a month ago or so and then said, "Hey, I'm just following up to see if you got recoil springs in." And then a week later, I had a new recoil spring, cleaned the gun up, put it back together, took it to range, made sure everything ran right, and then traded it in to get that compact CZ. you know,
10 millimeter with a broken recoil spring would be pretty rough.
it was, and then just I think the recoil springs are underpowered for those to begin with because it would chuck the empty casings, you know, like 12, 15 feet. It'd bounce off the shooting stall, and then I could hear it hit the wall behind me, which was, you know, about 10 feet behind me. And if you're standing behind somebody that's shooting, it feels like somebody's throwing them at you. That's how hard it throws those. And I don't know if, you know, maybe the spring was faulty to begin with, but I just didn't want to deal with that anymore. You know, not knowing if I can get a replacement part.
Yeah, waiting for parts sucks. I bought a part last year, and I'm still waiting for it. It's ridiculous. And I know it's probably COVID related,
Yeah.
but when you need a part and you got to wait like more than a month, and that's now. That's before they outlaw selling parts online. Like, can you imagine having to go to the gun shop and being like, I need this specific part for this rifle? And they'd be like, yeah, I'll get around to it. You better have a good relationship with that guy. Because if you're relying on Walmart to get your gun parts, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, our local Walmart, I haven't gone there since they pulled some of their shops have stopped selling guns and stuff. And I didn't buy anything from them, but I'd walk through their little gun section and didn't ever see anything, you know, worth buying. And their little ammo section was really small, and there was never anybody there to ask questions from. So
Yeah, that's the worst. I think I bought my second gun from Walmart. It was a Marlin Model 60. Back before they were assault weapons.
yeah, yeah. The for Washington State 2A, there were two bills that were I don't know the whole process of how it all works. I'm fairly new to keep paying attention to what's going on. I admit, for most of my life, I had been apathetic towards 2A stuff. You know, I liked guns. Um, Thought that it is our right, but every time a law would be passed, I would just think, oh, well, that sucks. And I got to, you know, a point where I decided I should do something. That's kind of where I started my channel. You know, I'm not a hardcore 2A advocate, just more of a, hey, I'm a normal guy. Look at this thing I got. You could be a normal person with this thing too. And, you know, I'm not looking to reach the masses, just more of a, hey, how you doing? Check this out. 2A is cool. And that, you know, that's kind of the niche where I think I can do, because I can't stay on top of everything that's going on. That's just not, you know, I don't have that passion, but I do believe it's our right. So
Yeah.
I'll speak up for it. And that's, you know, that's kind of what my channel is.
Yeah, I'd say there's a large portion of gun owners that I guess this is changing now, but they used to just give their money to the NRA and continue on with life. And I used to do that. When I turned 18, I bought my first gun. I got the little NRA advertisement with it. I sent in my money and I became a member. And I thought I was doing my part. I think there's a lot of people like that, but I think that's beginning to change. they're starting to see the NRA is literally falling apart.
Yeah, I had considered joining the NRA, and that was just before everything started coming out. Um, I joined the uh, Second Amendment Foundation because they were fighting in our state the
Yep.
1639. So I was supporting them, which unfortunately didn't work. But hopefully, it'll work its way up to the Supreme Court. Um, but so I didn't join the NRA, and kind of glad I didn't. But with the whole NRA thing, there's a lot more to it. Is they insure most of the ranges and gun shops in the U.S.
Yeah.
And if they disappear, there's no one else to fill in that void. And if they disappear, it'll take a while to fill that void. So all those shops lose their insurance.
Yeah. I don't want them to go away. I want them to refocus. I want them to be more of the marksmanship organization they started out as. If that makes sense.
No, well, that's what they were to
Yeah.
begin with. They weren't an advocacy group for 2A. It was marksmanship, learning to shoot and that kind of thing. Well, partly because the whole 2A thing wasn't like it was now. Back then wasn't like now. But yeah, they've got their IRLA wing,
So, yeah, something like that.
and that's
They're legislative.
it's supposed to be doing the fighting. Which, since I don't, I'm not a member and I don't keep tabs on what they're doing, I don't know how much they're fighting. But just everything that LaPierre did has destroyed them. They don't have the trust. And they still, you'll see videos with him saying, what great things they're doing. And all he's doing is spending your money.
Yeah. Like what they did here in Washington. They, what did they do? They printed stickers.
Yeah, they came in after the Second Amendment Foundation. There was a couple things they did this on, where they came in and after the Second Amendment Foundation had already filed a lawsuit, they came in, spent a little bit of money, and then because they're the big name, they're the ones that the news picked up on, and they got a lot of credit for fighting, which they didn't fight.
Yeah. It's so weird that, thinking back, we're not completely, totally anti-gun, but we're a lot worse than we used to be in Washington. Like,
Well,
just 8 years ago, I don't think there was anything I would have had a problem with in this state.
Well, that's true. With the whole 1639, a lot of people think that we've turned into California, but it's
Yeah.
not. It's not that bad. It's just
more
not what it was.
loopholes to jump through.
Because we're still an open carry state. You don't need a license to open carry, and we're a shall issue state, where you don't need to explain why you want a concealed carry.
Yep.
You get issued one as long as you can legally carry a firearm. So we still have pretty good gun laws. It's just not as good as it was.
We even have some cool features like when you're fishing, you can concealed carry. Or when you're hiking, you can concealed carry without a license in Washington.
I actually
Stuff
didn't
like
know that.
Yeah. So, like, if you're out hiking on a trail, you can have a gun in your waistband and You don't need a license. By the way, I'm not giving legal advice. You cannot use me as a defense if you get arrested in Washington.
Yeah, is CRS, another YouTube channel, as he likes to say, if you're taking legal advice from me, you're stealing.
Yep. But yeah. 1639 kind of opened my eyes though, because it wasn't just like a proposal from our governor. It was the people in our state voting, and we voted to implement it. And I didn't think it would pass. I didn't. I hoped it wouldn't.
I didn't think it would either, but it should never have been on the ballot. The way it was done.
Yeah, the
It
Safe
broke.
Schools Act. What was it called?
I don't know. I don't remember, but it the way it was done went against our state constitution, and
yeah.
our attorney general, who is anti-gun, said, "Well, that's all right. We'll let it go," because they would have on one side of the sign-up sheet stuff that wasn't related to that bill. So it looked like you were signing the I think it
Grocery
was
tax.
the grocery tax. And so you see that on on the backside where it looks like you're signing for the grocery tax, but actually you're signing to support 1639. And that's not allowed. But our AG said, "Well, we'll let it pass."
Yeah, he said something like it's deemed constitutional until somebody says that it's not constitutional, like something like that.
Well, that's how all these unconstitutional laws get passed. That's the reasoning. We passed it.
Therefore, it's
Stop us.
constitutional until it's not.
Yeah, there's no repercussions for doing it. They can pass as many as they want, and nothing happens. And we're a liberal enough state; they don't get voted out, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But the two newest bills, HB 5038 and 5078, 5032, something like that. But one is carrying on basically the Capitol grounds. They did an amendment for it, and it moved on to I don't know the process real well, which I should probably learn it better. But it moved on to the Rules Committee, something like that. And the 10-round mag limit also moved on with an amendment to change it to 17 rounds. And I watched some of the hearing on it, and I thought it was funny, is when they voted to move it along, the chairman, or whatever his title is, was talking about it and said with the amendment, they're figuring out what allowable restrictions there are.
Yeah.
And he had talked about the Ninth Circuit Court striking down California's 10-round mag limit. And then, they're finding the allowable limit. Well, there is no allowable restriction. It's supposed to be shall not be infringed.
Yeah, right. Like, the only thing I could think of them doing that might be deemed legal, like quote unquote legal as far as any of this stuff is like if they find the highest capacity handgun that's in production, then they say, okay, that's the new limit. You can't have anything more than that. Like, well, this 50 round Kel-Tec. Be like, okay, you can't have anything more than 50 in your handgun.
I think that's what they were trying to do with the changing it to 17, because 17
like a Glock 17
was kind of an odd number. that's all I could figure was it's
They knew 10 wouldn't work.
yeah, and then 17 is kind of a common, and the Ninth Circuit um, ruling talked about basically the um, magazines that are common, and that the 10 round limit goes against that's there are higher ones in common use.
Yeah, there have been for like when was the Browning high power invented? Like the 30s?
Something like that.
And that held like how what was that, like 15 rounds?
I'm not sure, but yeah, something like that. So I'm not sure how far it will get. Kind of keeping tabs on it. But for me, yeah, it was 1639. That's what killed my apathy. To pay attention to these things, kind of as you were saying, or I realized we could lose it all. If we don't pay attention.
Because at the moment, law-abiding people in Washington State that haven't been like declared mentally defective can still get just about anything they want. You have extra steps to go through. You have to like have the training certificate, which you can do online.
Yes, for anybody that hears this, if you go to Sporting Systems online, they have an online training course, and it's just a few questions and answers, and then it counts as your training. So you can even print out a certificate that says you got training, and that covers the training requirement for Washington State.
Yeah, and it's free.
Yes, and it's free. You'll see a lot of people are trying to sell you training. You can do it for free from Sporting Systems.
Like the main thing that I had the problem with on 1639, like was the medical. They go through your medical history.
Yes,
for anything.
That goes against HIPAA.
Yeah, and they made an exception for guns background checks. But as far as I understand it, if you buy they call them semi-automatic assault weapons. If you buy one of those in Washington and you do it through the legal methods and they know you have it, they're going to do a yearly background check on you as long as you own that firearm. And they go through your medical and your criminal history.
Yeah, so hopefully the Supreme Court will start taking 2A cases, and they can look at this.
Yeah, the U.S. Supreme Court, because Washington Supreme Court, they're just going to fold over and say that's totally fine.
Yeah. But it all takes time, unfortunately, which is a good thing. Government needs to move slowly, whether it's convenient or not, because that helps protect your rights. It keeps them from steamrolling you.
Somebody needs to tell Joe Biden to slow down. He's been making some pretty good progress.
Yeah, that's. I think this is going to set precedents to be a mess for every president, because they're all going to executive order each other.
Yep. First thing they do is going to undo everything the other guy did. It's good. It's not good. I don't know what a solution for it would be, but so
Get
for
out the
me
vote.
in Washington, the wake up call I got was do you remember when we got the universal background check law passed?
Yeah.
To where you outlawed private sales?
Yes.
I think that was the turning point. I don't think people saw that. as the turning point, but in my mind, that's where Washington State kind of tipped over into being less gun friendly than we used to be. I mean, we're not at a point where people need to leave the state. Like, oh my God, we're turning into California or Massachusetts. It's not that bad, but it could get worse. We need to fight legally.
Yeah, and for Washington, you know, luckily we still have relatively decent gun laws. I mean, politically, there's other problems that are starting. We're turning more into California. Huge homeless problem, growing homeless problem, and the solution seems to be leave them where they are and use them. Use them for political gain. You're not helping them. There's been a couple YouTube documentaries, or they were done by local news stations. I forget if it was Como. Was it Como?
It was Como. Yeah.
Como. And they were really good.
I think one was Seattle is Dying.
Yeah. An honest look at kind of what's going on and how it's being ignored. But there's not enough people that it affects to where something's being done. And that's unfortunate. Because Washington is a beautiful state.
And it's so diverse. When people think of Washington, they usually think of like Vancouver and Seattle. But if you travel across this state, we have basically every single ecosystem you would want. And the people they're so different. If you go east of the Cascades, it's a totally different state. And it really depends on what county you live in. That's
true. The west side of the Cascade Mountains that's where the mountains stop the rain. So it's lush and green, and we've got a rainforest on this side. Other side of the mountain, where the rain doesn't get over, is more desert in the middle. And then as you get towards Idaho, it's farmland.
Yep. Super flat.
It is. I think there's 5 different zones: desert, alpine. I forget what all of them are. So there's, if you like outdoorsing, you can do it all in Washington.
Yeah, there's something for everyone in this state.
And
it's just you got to live here.
I think it's the Snake River. Part of the Snake River has the same silt as the Yangtze River. It has that yellow silt that makes it. That's why it's called the Yellow River. And it's the only 2 places that you find that silt. Just an odd fact. Can't remember if it was the Snake or the one that feeds into the Snake. But
I'd have to look it up. But yeah, it's a really cool state to live in. It is. It's a shame what's happened in the last, let's say, 6-7 years. I don't know when that universal background check passed. Was it 2013?
Yeah, 12, 13, right in there, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's basically Seattle, Tacoma, a little bit of Snohomish County, and part of Spokane. Those are the liberal hubs. Everything else is conservative.
Yep.
Oh, and Olympia is liberal. It's a mini Portland.
Yeah.
So come visit Washington.
Yeah. You don't have to stay. But if you want to come help us out with the fight, I would enjoy you to move here because we could use more constitutionally minded people. Let's put it that way.
Yes, it would be nice. And that's another thing I've been thinking about lately. If where you are is liberal, is it better to move away or stay and fight?
Well, I guess it depends if you got a job. Like right now, a lot of people are having to rethink what they're going to be doing with the rest of their life. Because if, let's say, you lost family members, maybe you're losing your home, you lost your job. If you don't like the area you're living in, and there's nothing keeping you there, there might be a opportunity to look to other places.
That's true.
And the liberals, and I'm not using liberal as a bad term, but the liberals that are fleeing California because California is too liberal are coming to places that are still liberal enough for them, like they're coming to Washington, where they're
Yes,
going to Austin, Texas, and then they're making those states more liberal.
that's the thing that kills me is our liberalism didn't work where we came from. Let's try it here.
Yeah, but just a little less liberalism. We won't go full California, but yeah, I have a theory.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's right, but let's say one conservative leaves California because they want better gun rights, and they bring their wife and their kids, and then they're all liberal. So you have one conservative move in, and he brings four liberals with him. Maybe that's what's going on. Who knows?
Yeah, when you hear everybody talk about how the youths of today are more conservative. I don't know about that. I think that the whole Overton window has shifted so much that yeah, maybe they have different views, but in general, I think it's all moving more liberal.
Yeah, well, there was that saying. What was it? If you're young and you're not a liberal, you don't have a heart. And if you're old and you're not conservative, you don't have a brain. And it's because people that are younger are more empathetic and
Yeah.
they tend to be more liberal because they think more with their heart. They care more. I don't know the best way to put it. And conservatives are more conservative and they think more on like try to do no harm.
Yeah. Yeah, that and the a liberal is just a conservative that hasn't been mugged yet.
Oh yeah, Clint Smith. Hell hath no fury like an ass kicked liberal, right? If you want all liberals to be pro gun, go beat the shit out of them, and don't do that. That was a joke.
You
But
have to be careful; they're de-person you.
yep. But I mean, there's a truth to that. I mean, when you realize that you're your first line of defense, you know, I don't have to call myself to be like, hey, I need help. I'm here all the time. And what's the joke? There's, I need a gun because they don't make a holster big enough for a cop. I can't just pull a cop out and be like, yeah, there's a cop.
Yeah, that's become a big thing for me. As my family, that's my responsibility is to protect them. You know, and that's yeah, it's a duty
Yep.
and a responsibility. And maybe not everybody will see it that way. for them, and that's fine. But for me, that's number one, is to keep
Yeah,
them.
I totally agree with that. People ask me, why do you need a handgun? Why do I need a fire extinguisher in my kitchen? I haven't had a kitchen fire. You only need it until you don't need it until the day that you need it.
That's true, and it's an inanimate object. It's not going to go off on its own and do something. You
Yeah.
know, it's
And
the
you
person.
owning a fire extinguisher doesn't mean you want your house to burn down. You're not hoping that you have a oil fire cooking French fries.
Well, that, and you're not going to go around hosing down the neighbors for no reason.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to burn your neighbor's house down. That's why you got the fire extinguisher. Yeah.
Oh, it's hard. It's hard to people who hate guns. It's hard to separate the emotion from it.
Yeah. Yankee brought that up. He said I think he said a lot of people that hate guns have a good reason for it. And I've seen that to be true. Most of the people that are anti-gun have had a pretty bad experience with a firearm.
Yeah, I have a friend that her dad was shot and killed, and so she is. She doesn't. I won't say she hates guns, but she doesn't want them.
Yep. Doesn't
She
want to be
doesn't want them
around
in her
them.
house.
I knew somebody that was like that with BB guns. Like even a BB gun.
Yeah, I've seen that too, and that's kind of why I try and take people to the range, take them shooting, take away some of that mystery and hopefully some of that fear. And everybody that goes has fun. Everybody that I've taken absolutely has fun doing it. And they may not buy their own, but it just may change their point of view a little bit.
Yeah,
And
it gives them a new perspective.
and that's part of what I was saying earlier is, I'm just an average guy, and they see I have guns, I go shooting, I took them shooting, we had fun, nobody got hurt. And so they may not turn them into a staunch 2A supporter, but maybe it'll change their mind a little bit. So when some of these horrendous laws, are being proposed, that it'll change their mind on it, where they think, well, maybe not. Maybe they won't support that because they see that not everybody that has a gun is a bloodthirsty criminal.
Yeah, or at the very least, if they don't want to vote against, like when 1639 was up for vote, maybe they didn't want to vote against it because they weren't quite sure, like, oh, maybe we should have these laws. But maybe don't vote at all. Instead of vote for it if you're on the fence. If that makes sense. I'd rather have you not vote than vote for it because you're like, well, might as well have this.
Yeah, then, that pulls in a little bit of the, whoa, we need to do something.
Yep.
Well, not necessarily. Doing the wrong thing doesn't help.
Especially when they label the law as like the Protect Schools Act or whatever the title was, but
Yeah.
Safe Children's. It had something to do with kids in school.
Yeah, that's what can't remember if it was the Mag Limit one. It had a title that was like that, which I can't think of right now. Protect the fluffy bunny. Something
Yeah, if
like
they
that.
called it the go through your medical history and still let you buy an assault weapon law, I don't think it would have passed.
No. Um,
I hope it wouldn't.
yeah, I think we're going to take some losses in the near future, some setbacks. I don't think we're going to lose it all, but it's important to pay attention. And I don't follow everything line by line with what's going on.
Yeah, you can't.
But I just try and keep tabs, see what's coming, um, pay attention to stuff, and then try and weed through. Is this something that you know? Does this need immediate action, or is this not going to go anywhere? Which can be hard to tell which one is or not. But that way, you're not in a constant state of fear.
Yep.
Because that, you know, you're not doing yourself any good being afraid 24/7.
And if we dump all of our money into these fights that we're going to win anyway, we won't have any money left when we need to fight the real threats.
Yeah, and the big national stuff is important to watch, but your local stuff, I think that's more important. What's going on in your state,
Yeah.
because that's what's going to affect you in the immediate.
That's exactly what happened in Washington. The Republicans won the House, the Senate, and the presidency in 2016. And people thought their gun rights were safe, and we got fucked in Washington. Because basically, we lost, what was it, full control? They had a majority. They had the governor and they had the representatives. They had, but basically, there was nothing to stop them.
Yeah.
So yeah, keep your ears open and pay attention to what's going on in your state.
And you can't solve it all at once, but I think if we keep chipping away, we can make it better. I don't know, there's times where you see everything that's going on and you can get down. It could feel like everything's against you, but I have hope. That's the most important thing. Keep your hope. Nobody can take your hope from you. And if you lose your hope, then you lose everything, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's important to reach out to people that are on the fence right now. Because I think people are rethinking what they've believed recently with everything that's been going on. It's a real good opportunity to take someone shooting, bring out your Ruger 10/22, and teach somebody how to shoot a gun.
Absolutely.
Show them how fun it can be.
And, you don't have to get up in front of a lot of people and make speeches. Just the people that they know you. Say, hey, how you doing? Let's go do this. Check this out. Show them. Show them it's fun. Show them it's safe. And then, we make a change one person at a time.
Just make sure that they don't shoot all your ammo right now.
Yeah, that's been the hard part now. The range that I go to, because of the COVID restrictions, I can't bring guests, and so I haven't really been shooting much. And then with the ammo shortage, I can get ammo, but it's really expensive.
Yeah.
When I go to the range, they have it, but it's always a little more expensive because it's more of a courtesy. They're not doing it to make money. And then right now, I bought 2 boxes, 50 rounds each, and it was $52 with tax, I think.
So, yeah. And if anyone's having trouble finding ammo out there, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record if you've heard me on a podcast before, but if you join the CMP, they still have ammo in stock, and it's not crazy expensive. It's actually reasonably priced. And they have 40 Smith & Wesson, 10 millimeter, 45 ACP, 30-06, 308. They got 223. They got 22 long rifle. They even have 38 special. They don't have any 9 millimeter. But I don't know if they ever did.
If you can look up a link, why don't you drop a link out in the chat for people?
But yeah, in case people don't know what the CMP is, they're the Civilian Marksmanship Program, and they're a nonprofit set up to teach American citizens how to shoot guns. And they're created by Teddy Roosevelt, if I remember right. They're pretty cool. Here is the link in the private if you want to drop it in the YouTube chat.
Yeah, I need you to at some point leave a comment so I can mod you.
Okay. Okay, I posted the link in the YouTube chat.
Okay.
And now my alias is known. So can you think of any ammo you were in particularly looking for? I can look up the price on the CMP, see what it's going for. Like, are you shooting 40?
I just depends. 40 is my carry round, but when I go, I shoot, whatever. If I take someone with me, then, it'll be 380, 9, 40. And depending on them, maybe 10 millimeter. But I don't use the 10 millimeter with everybody, just to make sure I don't overwhelm them.
Yeah.
I want to make sure they have a good time and not scare them.
Okay, so the CMP has 180 grain jacketed hollow points. It's 240 rounds for $135, and it's free shipping. And they're not just shit ball ammo like aluminum case, range ammo. These are match grade, made by Creedmoor Sports.
And why don't you explain how to join the CMP I don't think you did.
So it's a little complicated. There are really good videos out on YouTube. And if you YouTube search for how to buy an M1 Garand from the CMP, it is the exact same process for the ammo. You have to have like proof of citizenship. You have to fill out a form. You have to provide a government ID. And you have to be a member of a shooting sport organization. And that can just, they have a full list of everything that would apply. And it's not that difficult. It's just a little time consuming to figure it all out. The hardest thing you have to do is you have to get the form notarized. But all you'd have to do is go to your bank. And usually your bank has a notary. And if you're a member of your bank, that should be free. So you fill out this form, take it to your bank, get it notarized, and then send it to the CMP. And they ship the guns and the ammo right to your house. So you don't have to deal with an FFL. And they have no tax, depending on your state, and free shipping. It's a really cool program. I bought some 30-06, some 45 ACP, and some 223 through them. And it's really good ammo.
Well, and you got a couple of grants from them.
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, they're really running low on stock on those M1 Garens. But they used to have one that was $650, and it was reparkerized receiver and a brand new barrel and a brand new stock for $650 shipped. But those are out of stock now. You can get their service grade for $750, and it's about the quality you would expect from something that went through a world war that didn't get complete. Like you can tell it was used, especially if it has its original stock. But they're good guns.
It's got some character to it.
Yeah, that's what you want. If you don't want that, you can get the new stock. And if you can write a note on your package that you send in and say, I'd like one from World War II, or I want one from Korea. Can I have a Springfield or a Winchester? And they usually try to find you a gun that matches.
That's cool.
Yeah, they're a really cool organization.
So in the private chat, is that a yes or no? Or
there you go.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Yep, and I don't know if it's like $5 to join, or
to join the CMP.
Yeah.
Technically, it's free, but you have to join. Like I joined the Grand Collectors Association, I think there, or is it the club? It's one of those, but it was like $25 for 3 years, I think. So it's not bad.
No, that's
You
really
pay more
good.
in a FFL transfer fee as soon as you bought more than one gun
Yeah.
at most places. And
So
yeah, if you're looking for ammo, you can go check out their e-store without being a member and just see if they got anything you need.
So we've hit an hour, and I think we're gonna bring it to a stop. So I just wanted to go for an hour, and for those who didn't hear the beginning, this was just kind of so I could get familiar with live streaming, because you get different perspective. When you're watching it, you see it one way. When you're a guest in a live stream, you see it a different way. And when you're actually running it, is a different way. And I wanted to learn more about it, see how it is. And it's been fun. And I really want to thank Mr. Burt Reynolds for joining me and helping me run this this I was going to say shit show, but
No, I think we did a pretty good job.
it went smoothly. I think we had a good discussion.
No one called for violent overthrowing of our government.
Boogaloo!
Yeah. Yeah, I want to thank you for the invite. It was
no problem.
good talk. It's good to talk about Washington, too.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to, cover a little bit about our local stuff, not just national. And, because not everybody knows what's going on here. not everybody cares, but
Yeah, that is
just give
true.
give people a peek into Washington. Um, and I want to thank everybody that is up at this time, um, watching. Seven Wonders, who's everywhere and being great.
He was the
X Adam,
first commenter on this new show.
he was. Um, Ozark was out there. Mr. Doherty and M. Gabriel.
X Adam 1.
So just want to thank everybody for watching. And I don't know if this will happen again. We'll see. I did have fun, so I wouldn't mind doing it again. But um, I don't know. I'll have to mull it over. And again, Mr. Burt Reynolds, I want to thank you very much. And I want to just say, keep your hope. Even if things look bad, you have to keep that hope. And everybody have a good night.
Yeah, everyone take care.